Everybody, we want to thank Kia of Rainbow City and Gadsden for another edition of the Marco Bryant Show, the Coosa Christian football preview show. Say that 5 times.
Yeah, it's very fast.
Talk to us about the hat before we get started, Coach.
Nothing like it, Bo. The GOAT, Ty Cobb.
1907 Cobb?
1907, yep.
I'm liking it.
Yeah.
Did you get that on the world famous trip to Cooperstown?
Yes, with you, Bo. How about that?
How about that?
Oh.
It's a pretty good looking hat, right?
Yeah.
If I do say so myself.
Bought 2 of them, Bo.
Well, one's for display with the jersey.
Yeah.
And then the other one's for use like this.
Yes.
So people don't think you're a poser. You just buy it and use it.
That's right.
I like where your head's at, Coach.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to dig into this last week's game before we go over into this week's game. The beautiful part about both of these games is these are the games that you're going to tune up on the most. They always say the best improvements from week 1 to week 2.
That's right.
So you had that game, and now you're going over into region play. So both of these games are very important. So last week you guys traveled to Blue Blood Perennial Power, 1A Power, Spring Garden, and came away with a 21-6 victory. Before we dive into this week's opponent, take us back to last Friday night and what that looked like.
I was really, really proud of the way the kids played. We still left a lot of points on the board. There's some stuff we need to clean up for sure. But I felt like we controlled the line of scrimmage, and that's kind of what I always look for in a team. Who controls the line of scrimmage? That don't necessarily mean you always win, just most of the time you're going to win. And I felt like we controlled both lines of scrimmage, and that was huge for us.
When you go scheduling a game like that in the off season, a lot of coaches will look at it as risky because that's possibly a future playoff opponent in the same classification as you. You don't look at it like that. How did you view that?
I look at it as a way to get better. I mean, if you're going to, if your goal, I said this to somebody last week, maybe it was you, I don't know, you got to figure out what your team goal is. Is your goal to win region championships? Is your goal to go to the playoffs? Is your goal to win state championships? See, each one of those, they inhabit their own quotient formula. And, from day one, our goal is to try to go win state championships. Even though we were terrible when I first got here, that was still our goal. And so you go challenge. You got to beat these teams to get there anyway. So why not give you a good stake in the ground to figure out where you got to be to improve that? Right. I'm not smart enough to figure out, okay, if I don't play this team and I'm making the playoffs, I can figure a way out to beat them. I'm not that smart. So I'd rather know the hand that's dealt to me before I play them.
Right.
And so that's why I do it.
That way you can't get no better film than playing the opponent yourself.
That's right.
See how matchups and things
are. That's exactly right.
Yeah. You knew they had that game circled. It was a really big game for Spring Garden.
I didn't know that.
You didn't?
I did not know that.
Okay. Well, they did.
Okay.
They had I watched their media days, and I was at their media days covering the event. And that was a game that got mentioned a couple times, so that was good. You knew, in other words, you knew they were going to be fired up.
I knew they were going to be fired up.
And to go in there and see your guys compete on that kind of level, come out of there with a double-digit victory, what does that tell you about this particular Coosa Christian team?
It tells me that we've got a really good potential in our team. I mean, and I felt like that going into the season, that this team had a lot of it's got a bigger ceiling than last year's team. Now, do we make it to that ceiling? I don't know. Time dictates that. We're banged up right now, but we had a gauntlet of a run. I mean, it looks like Pickett's last charge right now with our team. All right, so we got to get healthy, and then we just got to stay healthy, and then we'll figure out where it goes. Chemistry is going to play a part in this thing. Figuring out who we are on the offensive side of the ball plays a part in this thing. So if all that comes together, I think the ceiling for this team is higher than last year's team.
That's interesting because that was a pretty good football team.
Good team.
All right. This week's opponent is going to be a different opponent. Same county, though. You got Gaylesville.
Yeah, Gaylesville.
You guys are traveling to Gaylesville. But not only that, you're having to do it on a turnaround of a short week. I think you and Coach Knapp worked that out where you're going to play on a Thursday. Maybe it'll help with the gate or something like that. I don't know what went into that. None of my business. But the fact of the matter is the game's going to be played on Thursday, not on Friday. So those of you watching, be on the lookout to head over there on Thursday and get this game underway. But first of all, What have you seen from Gaylesville, and you already know what Brian Knapp's going to bring to the table as a coach each and every week?
Well, Brian does a really good job with what he's got, okay? Those kids always have played hard for Brian. And, you know, Brian's just a good dude, man. I like him a lot. Class act. And he's always been incredibly generous to me, and I've tried to reciprocate that. But, you know, see, last 3 years we're 1-2 against him. Okay?
Really?
Yeah. So we won last year. So this is not a, you know, as no game is a for sure win, right? But, you know, we have a losing record against them last 3 years.
I do remember that, yeah. Y'all lost a close one here.
We did.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep.
In a tough physical football game.
Yep.
What do you want to see out of these guys being banged up, short week? All this stuff's kind of stacked the deck, quote unquote, against what you'd normally want as a coach, but it also puts them back into the fire to find out how they're going to be molded on the other side.
Sure. Yeah, I think you answered that for sure. And, you know, I think, again, like, you know, I tell these guys every week, I don't care who the opponent is. Your only really opponent is yourself. All right? So you got to figure out who you are. And, you know, our opponent's ourselves again this week. We got to continue to worry about us and be the best team we can be. Because if we start worrying about Gaylesville and Spring Garden and Hanley and Pell City and Geraldine, we'll never be very good, because our thoughts are with them instead of ourselves. So we just need to work on ourselves and execute to become a better team.
You've been moving some guys around on offense and defense. What are some of those that happened this last game? Some of the guys, you got different looks, and how did it go for you?
I thought it went well. I don't know that we're done moving guys around. Don't really want to say that on camera, right?
Gotcha.
That's a game planning type deal.
You're pulling a Blake Bone right now.
Pulling a Blake Bone, yeah.
Plug and play.
Yeah, plug and
play.
play. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, Blake Bone, he's a goat, isn't he?
He's pretty good.
He's a goat. So, not the goat his dad is.
No,
not the goat his dad.
I mean, it's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Right there.
So, no, we're moving pieces around to try to find that right balance, the right chemistry to help springboard the offense. And I think we took a step in the right direction last week. We had 260 yards rushing, and that's what I want to have, 260 to 300 every game. Okay, so perfect scenario for me would have 275 rushing, 175 passing. That's a good night. Okay, so I think we're plugging there. We got to get our passing game a little better.
Defensively, you guys showed out last week.
Pretty good.
I believe you held them to under 200 yards total, which is impressive. Anytime you play a Spring Garden team, because you know they're going to be physical up front, they're going to have good athletes, running backs, and usually really attack the line of scrimmage is what they do best. So talk about that defensive performance.
Well, if you take out that 170-yard pass, what's their offense look like?
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So that again, I think that goes back to that, that front. That defensive front played really, really good. And I've said it once, I've said it 100 times over, the best linebackers in this county is at this school. As a group, this is the best group of linebackers in this county. And I think that's the strength. And I'm not trying to sound boastful or arrogant. I really believe this is the best group of linebackers in the county. And I think it pays dividends.
Yeah. It go a long way, especially in games like that when you know you're going to be challenged.
Yeah.
Final thoughts heading into this short turnaround week?
Just continue to be who we are. Worry about us. Don't worry about, all the outside stuff going on. Don't worry about opponent. Worry about us. Just be us. Listen, be coachable, and execute at a high rate. I think we'll be okay.
You heard it here first from Coach Marco Bryant here with the Coach Marco Bryant Show, the Coosa Christian Conqueror Football Preview Show. We're going to shut this video down, and we'll be back here next week and find out how the Conquerors did in the short week turnaround versus Gaylesville and Coach Brian Knapp. See you guys next week.